Okay, so in the previous video, we played around with the DOM a tiny bit in TypeScript, and we saw that TypeScript automatically, just by default, knows all the type definitions for the DOM, for the document, all its methods, for elements and their methods and events. It has this massive file that we didn't install, we didn't download, at least we didn't download separately, it just came with TypeScript, that has all these definitions in it, all these different interfaces, all these different types. And that's great. But in this video, I want to show you how to turn that off. Maybe you're doing something on the back end, you're doing something in Node, you have no use for any of this stuff. So you want to get rid of it. But also, we can use the same property, the same setting in our tsconfig.json to add in other tools to tell TypeScript about other types it may not know. So the way that we do this is by using the lib property, lib for library. It's in our tsconfig.json inside of compiler options, right under target. So it tells us here in the little comment, use this to specify a set of bundled library declaration files that describe the target runtime environment. But it's currently not active, right? We haven't changed it. It's commented out. And that means that we're using the default. And the default includes the DOM. So if we take a look at the documentation for the tsconfig file, can scroll down to lib, it says that TypeScript includes a default set of type definitions for built-in JavaScript APIs like math, the math object, as well as type definitions for things found in browser environments like document. So that's where it's coming from. This lib property in my tsconfig.json right here, currently, of course, just commented out. That means we're using the defaults. And by default, TypeScript knows about the document and all the DOM manipulation stuff, all the DOM APIs, it knows their types. But I can come in here and say, not so fast. Now you don't know anything. Now lib is empty. And if I take a look back in my TypeScript file, it doesn't know about document. Can't find this thing document. It doesn't know about any of this stuff. So it's just going to assume, I guess, that it's of type any. And from there, we lose all our typing, which is not good. So by commenting that out, we removed the DOM types. But we can then specify our own. And if we really wanted to, we could add it back in manually by just adding DOM. So these are all different libraries that we can choose from. We can tell TypeScript, we want you to use ES 2018 types. We want you to know about all the APIs. We want you to know about the DOM. So I can add that in just as a string, DOM. Of course, by default, it was there, so I'm kind of just doing this to show you. But if I want to add it back in, now we have access to it, and TypeScript knows all about the document. And once again, we can go to the type definition and see it. By the way, these type definition files, we'll talk about them later, but they end in .d.ts, and they're actually type declarations. The D there. These are a very common format. You'll see them all over the place. And we can actually view these files on GitHub as well. So you can see, the library type declarations for somewhere on here is DOM. If I just do a search, there we go. Or how about something like ES 2021 string. So there's some new string methods in here. I think replace all, is that the only one? Yeah, replace all. So that is the type declaration for this new ES 2021 string method called replace all. And right now I can't use that. If I have a string, hello, and I want to call replace all, TypeScript won't know about that. But what is nifty is it knows that it could know about it. It will say, if I go to this error message, do you need to change your target library? Try changing the Lib Compiler option to ES 2021 or later. So there's a couple of ways of fixing this. One is the target I have right now is set to ES5. And when we use ES5 by default, TypeScript will use the ES5 lib. But if I wanted to use ES 2021 in there, I can add this in myself, ES 2021. And now TypeScript will know about all the ES 2021 stuff. Now it's giving me an error saying you're not using the method correctly. Right, so I'll replace else with exclamation points, and that's fine. It knows the types of this method, it knows it exists, and it's happy now. And that's because we told TypeScript, even though our target's ES5, we want you to use ES 2021 lib so you know those types. But alternatively, what would probably be better, there's situations where you might want that, but I could just say, actually, let's say target is ES 2021, and by default now TypeScript will know about all the ES 2021 types. So I don't have to include those manually. But if for some reason I want to use ES5 for my target, and then I really still want to use replace all, I can say in here, I want you to include ES 2021, but then by doing this, I've now lost the DOM. So then I need to also include the DOM. And then there's other little one-off pieces I could include, something from ES Next. You can see these individual components, esnext.async iterable, if I wanted that, or .array. I could include those individually. Instead of the whole library for ESNext or ES 2021, I can gain access to small pieces. And when I say gain access, it's really telling TypeScript about those types. Okay, so that is the lib property or setting in our compiler options. I guess we would call it an option. That's the lib option. It's a very, very important one. A lot of the time you can get away without touching it and just using that default, but there definitely are times you'll need to edit this and add in different pieces to tell TypeScript about those types. Okay,